Welcome back. For starters, thank you all for tuning in and sharing the show. Every year, I'm always in a bit of shock that I get the privilege to keep making the show and you all keep listening. It's truly a blessing, and from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. Today's chat is with someone who is one of the key folks behind one of the wildest watch brands to have ever existed. Geez, I mean, they're one of the wildest brands to have existed. The company is only 20 years old, so in the world of watchmaking, that's extremely young. And they continue to be obsessed over, from folks like Jay-Z and Drake to Formula One drivers. They're known as a racing machine on the wrist, and the best way to explain it is people ask me like, well, how do you explain Richard Mille to people? And I'm like, okay, what if watches were made to the highest degree of excellence inside Willy Wonka's chocolate factory? My name is Jeremy Kirkland, and this is Blammo. My guest this week is Alex Mille, commercial director of the incredible watch brand Richard Mille. Alex and I discuss his love of cinema, the inner workings of Richard Mille, McDonald's in France, bizarre music playlists, and of course, his favorite clothes. Let's go.
Wow. The moment you press recording, the little button that says leave became I cannot click on the leave. It's like you close the door and that's it. I'm stuck. I cannot click.
Now you are trapped and you can't leave. You can't
it's like
go
an
anywhere.
Escape game. I need to say the proper thing in order for you to let me go. That's
Well, it has been a very long time coming, and I'm so glad that you're talking with me, that we're hanging out and chatting, because we met like years ago, I guess.
Yes.
Now.
Yes, I couldn't say which year exactly. Honestly, for me, everything is so blurry now. But all the past years now, I cannot say what was 2019, what was 2018. Everything is so vague with COVID now. I don't know. But yeah, it was so long ago for sure.
Yeah. So wait, where are you right now? You're in Paris?
I'm in Paris.
Okay.
I moved here 2 years ago. So yeah, in Paris.
Because you were in LA. Because I think the last time we had hung out, you were all about LA. You loved LA.
I know.
Wait,
just me.
It looks like you regret
Paris. I just love Paris. And you know, it was funny. Before, I never really lived in Paris in my life. Never. It was always that big city because it's not that we come from the countryside. We've been raised in the countryside, and you know it's the same with American talking about LA and New York. They are the big city, and Paris for us was always the big city. And for some people, he put stars in their eyes, like, oh, Paris. Oh, one day I will go to Paris. And for some people, it's just, oh, I hate these people, this Parisian. Everything is about them and like this type. I was this type of person. So I right away went from small cities in the French countryside to LA. So that was a pretty big jump. And the difference is that LA always made me dream. I'm sure we will talk about it. I always loved cinema since I'm very, very young. And of course, for me, cinema was very close to Hollywood and to LA. So it was different. It was not like going to Paris for me. It was going to Los Angeles. And so yeah, when we met, I was all about LA because I truly love this city. It just feels like the city that you can make it whatever you like. If you want a very laid back lifestyle, like I'm a very discreet guy, just enjoying the sun and being by yourself, like the all wellness thing. You can do that, but you can have the most depraved lifestyle if you want. It's just a world of opportunity. And moving back to Paris, I realized that it's more or less the same thing. And I guess every city in the world is actually whatever you want make them to be. So
that's a good outlook.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. It's very weird, but since I'm a very young boy, I'm reading comic books. I love comic books, and there's these comic books when one of the character is superpower. It's actually to be linked to all the cities in the world. So he's always barefoot.
Wait, what comic is this?
It's The Authority by one of my favorite screenwriter. What's his name? Warren Ellis. He's pretty much cancelled now, so I don't know if we can talk about it. But yeah, it's so cool. So there's this character. He's always barefoot because when he goes into a city, he's connected to the city via his feet. So he can talk with the
Oh,
city, interact with the city, and the city become a character. And I tend to believe that cities are actually like that. It's they have their own story, their own vibe, and I don't know. It's like, when you look
yeah.
from outer space, cities like the street are like veins, and I don't know. I always tend to believe that cities are like that. So they have their own personalities, and yeah, I believe that. Paris actually, the Paris personality actually suits me pretty well.
There you go. Jeez. I mean, first off, the feet connecting to the city, like the superpower of being, because it's true. A lot of people, especially places like Paris and New York and LA, and sometimes I wonder, it's like, okay, is that really the city or is that the people there? Right? Because, I was back in New York not that long ago and traffic was horrible. The trains were awful. All the restaurants that I were at were way, way more expensive now due to
Yeah,
COVID.
I'm sure.
I got a bill and it had a COVID tax. And I don't say this to make fun of the city. I say this because I was there and from a zoomed out view, it was kind of a crappy experience, but I loved it because it was New York. And I was like, oh, good, I'm back. It's
I'm
like,
back.
yeah,
I'm
it's
back in
hot. I'm
town.
uncomfortable. I'm kind of miserable. I just overpaid for this coffee. Ah, it's so good to be home. As much as I love living in the suburbs, I almost prefer the uncomfortability of being in a city, like being in New York, where there's just energy, right? I mean, I think
Yeah,
that's the
exactly,
biggest thing we're talking
exactly.
about. It's
It
just
gets
like a
you,
love
it
of
gets you
energy.
going all the time. Well, the commute is the killer. Is the from age, I think, 12, I've been commuting because
Mm.
I was a bad kid. So they put me in like the school that they
I'm
needed
sure
to
you weren't
pick
a
me.
bad kid.
Oh, trust me.
Okay, all right. Well, we won't talk about that.
When I went actually to that school, the bad kid school, at the end of the first year, because at the bad kid school, I was the perfect. That's where I became the angel that I'm now. At the
Oh.
end of the first year, the teacher got access. All the teachers that loved me got access to my file. My education file. They were like,
Yeah.
"Wow, is it really you, Alex?" I'm like, "Yeah, I am." No, I was bad, bad kid. But yeah, and so from age like 12, 13, something like that, I had to commute. And sometimes hours. And the commute was basically me avoiding living in Paris every
Mm.
time. And the worst I had was I was doing my cinema school in Paris and was living in Amiens, which is one of the big city, but up north. So every day something like 4 hour and a half commute. So 2 hour, 15 minutes in every day. So basically waking up in the morning at 4. I was obese. I was like, it was the worst. But I didn't want it to live and I was with a girlfriend at that time. For sure, we will never live in Paris. So, and the commute is the worst. It's making you, it makes you hate the city even more. I have the
Yeah.
feeling. Why?
There's truth to
When you
that. I
live there,
agree.
now I'm lucky enough to live really in Paris, basically in the center, in the art district, let's call it like that, of Paris. It's 20 minutes bus ride to arrive to the office. All along the Seine, the river,
Hmm.
with the all the building and the Eiffel Tower, everything is it's totally different. Totally different.
Mm.
Like you say, it's different vibe, different energy. And just to come back very quickly on what you say about
Yeah, please.
cities, obviously there's the personality of the city, but yeah, people are the people living inside these cities are what makes the city what they are. Definitely, it's people are the base of everything. Human beings are the base of everything. It's that doesn't come from a comic book. It just um, I always part of me was thinking that what if God did exist, God died, but what he died to basically spread himself inside every human being, and the makings of human beings are actually God's like now, our God. So architecture
Whoa.
and things like that. So it's just the feeling that everything we are making the same way. When you look at nature, you have that what we call in French the superbe, the marvelous, like the marvel.
Hmm.
The fact when you look at the Grand Canyon, when you look at the mountain in Switzerland, and you're like, wow, because what create that it's just it's something happen in your brain. And I tend to have the exact same feeling looking at some realization of human beings. What we succeed to make as the human race is insane, really. When you again, this morning I was in the bus, and I'm thinking about yeah, you can feel that things are going worst, but ultimately, if you take a bigger perspective, if you take some perspective and look at the whole history of human race, we are going to the better, and to realize every day where we come from and where we are going. Even though there's a lot of bad things, I don't know. It's just like there's all together we still succeed to create a marvelous thing.
No, I agree. I mean, and it sounds like what you're saying is even with all of the kind of um I guess let's put it this way. It feels like the last year and the past 18 months has just with every cultural thing that's happened, every global thing that's happened, obviously the pandemic, from political things, I mean, you name it, it just has felt that we've been in a state of unease and a state
Yeah.
of distress. And I think something that everyone has also, of the many ways that people have chose to process this, one is a state of doom and gloom, and that
Yeah.
the world is going to end. What's the point? Let me just. And then another one is like, well, okay, sure, that there's horrible things that have happened, but there's also a lot of great things that are happening, and there's a lot of joy, and there's a lot of hope. And one of those things is being in awe of what mankind has also created,
Yeah.
right? When you think of culture, right? I mean, and this is the funny thing, because we were talking about Paris, whether you the external view of Paris is this world of artists and joy, the best bread and butter in the world. Where
Definitely.
McDonald's is really good, by the way, because I don't
It's
think
good. Yeah,
Americans
I agree with
understand.
you. I agree with you.
McDonald's
You
is
know,
really good
they,
in Paris.
they actually McDonald's, and it's my favorite. It's my favorite burger.
See?
McDonald's, when they came, no, when they came to France, it was an outrage. Like, people went mental. Farmer dismantled McDonald's in France because never you can have that. It's imperialism and things like that. Insane
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
And so to make it better with French people, they created a dedicated, which they do now everywhere in the world. The best country for McDonald's, they have their own burgers, but they create this Mac Deluxe, French Deluxe,
Oh yeah.
and still today my favorite burger in the world, which is not the best one, but it's definitely my favorite. It's with mustard, and I love mustard, so yeah.
There you go. But
And
it's
it's
just
actually
like,
the sandwich, the burger that made me go from the Happy Meal, so for kids, to grown up burger, which always make you like, you still remember that when you're eating it, like, oh, now I'm a big man. I have big man burger. I don't have the Happy Meal anymore.
yeah. Well,
Are
it's
you
funny
checking
because
it right now? Are you checking it?
no. I'm looking up. One of the things I want to make sure that I mentioned is there was a restaurant that my wife and I went to in Paris, and that's called Big Fernand.
Yes, 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 yes.
That is like a
It's
burger
tend to get
shop that,
very big now. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's really blown up. But that's probably like someone in America being like, "Oh, I just tried Shake Shack," and you're like, "Dude, I know what that is." You're like, it's like saying go to the Eiffel Tower. Yeah,
No, no,
people know about what
actually, I've never been to the Eiffel Tower. First, we are very lucky. From my office windows, I can see it, but I've never
You've
been there.
never been to the Eiffel
I've
Tower?
never been there. I've never been there. We were
You're
just talking yesterday with very, very close friend of mine, and Clement, who is also working with me, and
Mhm.
we were taking the bus together and talking about the fact that we kind of feel bad to spend most of our weekends. It's not a bad thing, but it's like reading. I meditate, like all of this thing, and basically home. Just we stay our weekend home, and we don't go explore what we have in that city. So I tell you, I love this city, but I really love the sensation of that city. And I think it's very beautiful from my YouTube. Like the other day, I was saying to people, like, yeah, I saw a YouTube video on that. It's like right next to my place, but I prefer looking at a YouTube video than being there. That's how stupid things are today. So yeah, we are saying that we are not enjoying as much our playground than we should. I live right in front of the Georges Pompidou museum. It's like the big museum that look like a construction, like it's always
Oh
an
yeah, very
ongoing
familiar.
construction.
Yeah.
And I've been there once. And I have the card. I can go there. It's unlimited. I can go there, and I
But
just
you know what? It's like that when you live in any big city. And like what you're saying is actually not that uncommon in the sense that if you live there, you almost take it for granted. And so you're
yeah,
not always going to go there
exactly.
where, like my last trip that I was in New York, I got more work done and more like I was more productive than I had in like without COVID in the last 6 months because there was a sense of urgency while I was there. And when I was living there, I mean, I didn't really go to museums that much. I went, I went to MoMA, I saw Starry Night, I saw, but like I didn't really take advantage of everything that the city had to offer. And I feel it's because I was living there.
Yeah,
And I mean, what you're saying
definitely.
is not, it's not uncommon. When we went to Paris, my wife, she loves the Louvre like every other person in the world. And she over the course of 3 days, she went to every room.
Yeah, but that's normally the way you should do
She
it.
was like, I'm going to every room and then I'm going to Versailles and I'm going to walk every single area of Versailles. And I was like, okay. I was
I'm
like, I'm
not
going to
doing
go to
it.
this cafe and sit and
Yeah.
stare and like smoke cigarettes. She was like, what? I was like, no, that's what Parisians do. And she's like, oh.
Exactly. That's a very good point. Doing that is make you enjoy the Parisian way of life. Your wife was acting like a tourist. You were acting like a Parisian. So
Yeah, there we go.
cannot
There
blame
we
you
go.
for that.
This episode is sponsored by Standard & Strange, your go-to in-person or online store for rugged yet elegant wardrobe staples. Founded in 2012, what was once a tiny store in a back alley in Oakland has evolved into one of the best retailers in America. With incredible brands and more, they have everything you need and are experts in every product they sell. Yes, they can help you fit those jeans or those boots online. Believe the hype. With locations in Oakland, Santa Fe, and now New York City, Standard & Strange has the deepest selection of the real McCoys around. If you want goods that go way beyond just reproductions of the most iconic pieces from the 20th century, the real McCoys is it. Every detail is considered down to the custom thread used in the flight jackets. And the biggest selection is at Standard & Strange. My personal favorite is their loop wheel sweats. Nice and short in the length for the classic look. Dude, if you don't have like 2 or 3, you're just missing out. So visit standardandstrange.com/blammo to learn more. And while you're there, check out their new arrivals. Standard & Strange. Own fewer, better things. Standardandstrange.com. On the topic of why we're chatting, you and your family represent basically this. It's still new in the world of watchmaking, but like basically this echelon and almost titan of innovation in industry and watchmaking. right? So when we met, you kind of helped explain Richard Mille to me in the sense that like I knew it as a brand that made like what if style watches. It's funny because we were talking about comic books, and I feel like if you are a character in a comic book and you're drawing a watch on your character, you're drawing a Richard Mille watch because they're just, and I say this with love and admiration, they're just wacky. They're so like beautiful and innovative and just mind blowing. I remember one of your, I don't know if it was an internal ad campaign or not, but it was, I remember like seeing an image of one of the watches floating in water and like that was it. It was because of how light it was. And so for me, I mean, I'd love to kind of just jump in a little bit about obviously how you got into this brand and how you went from, being, I think you went to film school, correct?
Yep.
And how you kind of pivoted to, joining the family brand. So, I mean, we can kind of start at that first. So you moved to LA, you go to film school.
And no. Let me revert.
Oh, please.
So basically, I always loved movies. Always, since I'm very very young. I remember the first movie I went to see was either the Jungle Book or Aladdin. I don't remember one of them two, because for sure I saw them two in theater. So and it was always a special feeling with movies. And the same, I had this very weird relationship. Everything in my life is always linked to people. And in my relationship with my dad, so my parents divorced, and my dad was picking us up once in a while. And I remember him buying me for the first time, again, a grown-up cinemas magazine, like a magazine about related to cinema. And because before that, I was buying not really like the one, not for kids, but for teenagers. And that was the very first serious one. And from that point on, I realized what was the whole industry relating to movies, and I wanted to be part of it. My dream was to be a director, and I was looking really hard to do so. So in high school in France, you graduate at the very last year of high school, and you have a diploma that you have to pass. And normally it's very general. You need to pass that to do any type of studies after that.
Yeah.
And mine was mainly turned to cinema, because like I told you before, I was a bad kid, and they cannot succeed to make me. They couldn't succeed to make me learn anything. I was stupid.
You weren't motivated, it sounds like.
Yeah, and the type of kid that the teacher can always say, yeah, he's a smart kid, but he's a pain in the ass. And so ultimately they realized that I was really passionate about cinema. So they say, okay, maybe there's this school, high school, that have a project with cinema, and most of his diploma, because let's be honest, he will never get his diploma if he goes like this. He needs to have so there will be a big part of it will be film. So he will have his diploma thanks to that. So I got my diploma, and then I start working after that. I did some I say that hunting movies. Basically, a company was paying me to go everywhere in France and film people hunting. I mean, that was a way to make money.
Interesting.
And to pay for my license too, my driving license, which, living in the countryside, you have no other choice but to pass that. And then one thing leading to another. My dad and my stepdad pretty much pushed me to do a low faculty, like law school. So I graduate that, and then when I graduate from that, there was a deal with my dad that, okay, I do law school, I graduate. If I graduate, you allow me to go to a film school. And then the moment I graduate, he called me and say, okay, now you can go. So I went to that film school, again learn a lot about movies. And in order to graduate from that film school, you needed to make an internship. And I was I had a weird relationship with my dad. Let's put it this way: that I tended to keep a distance between us. And I wanted to have that internship by myself. So I was asking around who could take me as an intern, and I ended up, thanks to my brother, with a company that was doing like 3D rendering somewhere in Brittany. This company was actually one of the supplier of Richard Mille, so the brand, for 3D rendering. So I moved there, worked with them. My dad saw part of the work I was doing. Doing with that company, and one day he called me and say, "Oh, Alex, I always wanted to do something with video, like open a real video poll at Richard Mille, but I never really found anyone. Would you like to jumpstart that?" I say, "Yeah, sure, but I'm good in Brittany. Can I stay in Brittany?" And you say, "No, you need to move to Paris." So I was like, I don't know, moving to Paris, whatever. So long story short, starting working with the brand that never did anything with video. So at first I was just doing internet banner, the ugly one, the one that are 20
yeah, like
pixel
a
long and
banner
yeah.
ad. Yeah.
So I was doing that because there was no gear, like nothing to really do video, and then there was no asset, no nothing. I couldn't do any editing. I couldn't do anything. So I was starting with that, with those banner, and one day, it was for Le Mans Classic, one of our biggest event. We had like a 30-second spot to put on the big screen all around the Le Mans racetrack, and we needed to showcase Richard Mille. The thing is that we didn't have any asset. Only asset we had so far was just pictures. So I went on After Effects and then start working on a very quick video with some rhythm, just with those assets. So just with image, so black and white and things like that. And it was very catchy, 30 seconds about the brand and mainly our partner. And yeah, I was pretty proud of it. That was the first time I could. I always loved editing, and that was the first time I succeed to do a real edit for RM. That day, my dad saw the result, called me. It was very moving moment because he called me saying that he was proud of me, which it's always something when your dad
Hell yeah.
call you
Yeah,
proud,
that's great.
and
Yeah.
say, "Okay, now I trust you. Now I know you can do something with videos, and let's buy some gear. And from now on, you will. Already starting at Le Mans Classic, the real event, you will have a camera." And you will go around, shoot the very first video. So very long story short, I start building the video side of RM, starting shooting watches, which was a challenge for me. But the watches, what was very good about it is that I needed to explain for the people in the boutique how the watches work and the different function for the video. So obviously that makes me in order to explain something to someone, you need to understand it yourself. So I start learning and geeking a lot about the watches, how it work and things like that. So I start to understand the why the brand is so out there and different than the other. And so that was one fit in the brand. And then the other one was in order to make a proper launch of a watch, I needed to go to the factory to shoot to some asset to show the watchmaker working on a piece and things like that. So going there, I start talking with everyone because you can see I'm talking a lot, and so
No, this
I
is
start
great.
talking
Keep going.
with watchmakers and the people who develop the watches and yeah, everybody at the factory, and very fast, they became my family. And I had to go there very often because for every new launch, I needed to go there, shoot some more pieces, and yeah, they became my family. We were going out at night. One thing leading to the other. I was having dinner with them, and ultimately they became my brother. They became my other father figure, and that's the way the brand in general, but definitely myself. I always want to create other family cocoon everywhere I go because that's how I feel comfortable. That's how I can work. That's how I know that things working properly is by creating this little cocoon everywhere. So I was in love with the people at the factory, and let's say it was in 2017. 2017, I broke up with one girlfriend at the time, and that's the perfect moment that my uncle, as we call him, John, who is the CEO of RM America, so our distributor in America, decided with my dad that it was time for me to move to America and to move to something else for the brand. Yeah, it was already 3-4 years that I was working with the brand, doing the videos, meeting more and more people, understanding more and more the product. And now for them, it was time for me to understand how business worked for the brand. So I moved to LA. When I was in LA, I would say for the first year, I was continuing to do the videos. So because there was still our big event like SIHH and a big watch launch that needed to be made, the like keynotes and
Sure.
things like that. And a little bit before I moved to LA, my little brother came working for the company, and I took him as an assistant. I hate this word, but basically, yeah, he was working with me, helping me, and slowly but surely, he took the whole video aspect of the brand and skyrocket. Like there's no comparison. I have the background of studying movies and being to this type of school. He don't. But when you look at what he made in terms of video compared to what I was doing, that's so impressive. When you see what he's succeeding to managing now, that's impressive. And so he took now he's in charge of the video. And I moved to the business part slowly but surely because being in America, I was talking every day with John. I was talking with all the people in the office, talking with Laura that that is doing the communication. I was talking with Anton. I was talking with Dom, and it's like you start getting the understanding what's behind the business, and then they start giving me little things to do here and there. Then then because I have that knowledge of the brand, we decided that it might be good if I become the trainer for the boutique staff. So I start going from boutique to boutique in America, still in America, to train people about watches, about the brand, what the brand stands for, and the way we make our watches, what is behind each watches, and this type of things. And yeah, ultimately, at one moment, my dad say, "Okay, now it's time for you to come back to Paris." It was good 3-4 years in LA. Now you have to move back to Paris, and now I'm back in Paris, and I'm more on the commercial aspect of the brand, managing it for all the regions. So it's basically being working a lot with the factory, with Yves, who is at the production, with Cécile, who is at the development, and all of them, and working together, being sure that we do the watches exactly like we want to make them, and then have the watches come being ready to be sent to the market, sending them to the market, and then make sure that the market, they have everything to sell the watches properly, basically, to put it this way, and then to help with the boutique, developing the boutique, and everything.
So to zoom out, you went from making a sizzle reel for Le Mans to basically doing every other aspect of all of the jobs under Richard Mille. And by the way, I want to just sidebar for a second. I say Richard Mille. Some people say Richard Mille. How can you, for the record, state how you say the brand name?
So we always stated that people say it whatever they want to say it. Our name, if you take really the name, is Richard Mille. If you have to say it, but Mille, from what we know, can be Italian, so it's Mille. So when people say Richard Mille, it's good. If you want to be really, I say it Richard Mille, but people say whatever.
Okay. So, all right, to jump back on topic, because, some people have been like, yo, have you heard about these Mille watches? I'm like, Mille? Like, oh, like a mini watch? And they're like, no, Mille. They're like, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And then I'm like, dude, that's Richard Mille. And they're like, oh, someone's like, oh, Richard. And I'm like, no. And so I appreciate the clarity there. So you basically get to do every job within the company. And I mean, it's very interesting because I feel like when you get to see how every single aspect of the company works, from training to development to retail, it sounds like you have a much bigger appreciation for everything that goes into it. Because I think a lot of people don't really understand what goes into a watch company, because I think that they think that most watch companies are like, Rolex or something like that, into which it's all vertically integrated. It looks like it's one big building and everything happens in that big building. And then the watches come out like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, and that's it. And, this stuff that you guys are doing, also because it's so crazy innovative, you got different parts at different places. You have all these different experiences going on. And then in the meantime, you're also building a culture of watchmaking and appreciation within retail. Like, you're not like a brand, and I'm not belittling any brand when I say this, but you're not like a brand that just says like, oh, this is us, therefore that's it. Like, therefore there is no explanation. You're still communicating the value and the values and why you're here and why and I think it goes to show, when you look at the most innovative watch companies, I mean, there's no argument, especially in the sense that you've managed to create, all of you, a watch company that people that don't know about watches love, and people that know a ton about watches love. And I feel like that's really, really hard to do nowadays, because, I have friends that consider themselves watch experts, and they're like, oh, I only like this brand. Oh, because this guy, he does the engine turn dial with his, you're like, great, cool. And then other people are like, I just like this because it looks cool. And you've managed to do that within Richard Mille as a company, as a brand, all while also making like 3,500 pieces a year, which is insane.
Hopefully this year we're really crossing all the fingers possible to manage to do 5,000 for the first time of RM history, 5,000 pieces. Now, are we going to succeed to make more than 5,000 one day? I don't know. But that's funny, because that's very often a discussion that I have with people, saying that it's hard to succeed to get an RM, and like, we are holding them. Trust me, if we could, we would. I don't say that if tomorrow we could succeed to make 20,000 pieces, we would do it. Definitely not. But really, we are struggling to do every one of them.
So can you explain a little bit of that? Because I think right now, if you want to buy a watch from any like big, like, I don't know, autorology, whatever company, like high-end watch manufacturing, you can't get it anywhere. Rolex boutiques. I was in Las Vegas for.
Yeah.
There's nothing in the store. next door, Audemars Piguet. There's nothing in the store. And and obviously as you're aware too, I mean, if you want to buy a Richard Mille watch, you can't just call and say, "Hey, I want, RM27." They're like, "No, it's." And so what has happened? Is it a supply issue? Is it COVID? Is it a demand? What's going on?
So for us, the explanation come directly from what is the core of RM. From the very inception of the brand is that we are a family, and it's all started with my dad. When I say we are a family, it's like the big RM family. It's not the Mille family. It's
Yeah.
the expanded. Extended. So from the beginning, my dad is the type of person that when he thinks that he succeed to say what he had to say, he doesn't want to repeat himself.
Mm.
And it's the same when he has with his kids. It's the same with the employee. He is the type of person that, okay, I say what I had to say. Don't make me repeat it.
Mm.
And it's the same when he goes to watches. He started with the RM01, and then ultimately he ended up, okay, that was the watch. We did 17 of them, if I'm not mistaken, and that's it. Then we moved to something else, and that's
Which
always
is
what we
not
are
uncommon,
doing.
or which is very uncommon
Because
for
normally when you
listeners.
have a success, you want to ride on it. You want to okay, this one is working well. Let's keep it. Let's
Yeah,
producing. Let's
exactly.
keep producing. And the way we see things is that, like I say, we can only succeed to make 5,000 pieces. Let's make sure that at least we are producing the watches we want to produce, the watches that represent us the best. So we want that. And if you look at our collection, if you go on the website, uh, it's so diverse. You have
Yeah.
every shape, you have and we love that, because that's the way we see pieces. We only make the piece we want to make. We only develop what we want to develop. So the price of that is that if you don't want to end up with 5,000 reference and 5,000 watches a year, which means one piece for each reference, you need to cut some references. So
Mm.
it's always looking at our collection and say, okay, yes, the RM1103 is very successful, sure, but haven't we say everything we have to say about that watch? We made variation, we made colors. Don't make me say what I don't want to. I really love the RM1103, but we say what we had to say with it. We say we show what we had to show. Now let's kill it. Let's move to something else, and then come the 6501, the 7201, and is always to be sure that you're happy with what you have in your collection, and not in terms of success, not in terms of number. Really, we are lucky enough today that the success is here. So let's make sure that we're having some fun and that we are proud of what we can see in our collection. So what it means is that we always have ideas. Always the development meeting we have. I've never been to any other development meeting everywhere else, but I'm pretty sure you don't see a lot of that in every other company, not watch industry, like in general. It's just, but we are a family. We are so happy to get to be gathered. We are so happy to when we can be in Switzerland, and we genuinely love each other. So it's how can we make the best of our time? We have 3 hours together. Let's have fun. And why we have fun, if we can succeed to develop some pieces, that would be nice. And yeah, it's like my dad always say, when we do a development meeting, it's probably a lot of jokes, and yes, we are very serious in what we are doing, but we are having fun making it. And if you look at our calendar today for in terms of development, we have enough pieces, new pieces, and for until 2025, easily 2025.
Okay. So You're basically saying that your development is so far ahead, and you guys you're constantly, trying to push forward, that you basically have your lineup locked for the next 4 years.
And the crazy thing is that it's not even luck. We always have to push back some references, but it it's just how to do things seriously without taking yourself too seriously. And
Mm.
uh, the way we do our development, and that's from the beginning, and it's still the case today, is there's no budget in for any development. If we agree on what will be that reference, which most of the time come from my dad, who say, "Oh yeah, we need to make a piece like this. That would be so cool," and I always dream to do this, to do that, and then we decided all that will go into a reference. Then for that reference, which right now is just on paper and ideas in the cloud, to make it something real, tangible, a piece that will be produced, can be 5 years, can be 7 years, can be less.
Mm.
But there's absolutely no budget on that. We don't say, oh, okay, we need to have this ready for this moment. Now we are totally free. It's just this watch will come out when it will be perfect according to us, according to what we imagine at the beginning. It needs to be the perfect watch. And if it's not perfect, it will be push back, push back, push back, push back. And so many times it happened that a watch ready, uh, like for example, we had one, I won't name the model, but we
Okay.
had one that was ready, was right before Christmas closure. It was ready. The first prototype exit the not the production line, but the prototype line, let's say, and they brought it to us, to my dad, and my dad looked at it and said, now that I see it, I don't really like the ends. And they're like, yes, but Richard, you validate that. We are
You
good
already
with
signed
that
off
now.
on
And
this.
we already signed up the order. And yeah. No. I know. So for tomorrow, do you think you can come with another idea? And is that drawing the new hands different? And can you materialize them and bring it to me so I can see, like on 3D render what it would look like? And that's what they did, and he decided to go on the new end. So the old watch was pushed back a year, because ultimately when you start seeing the ends, he starts seeing something else, because every time they are bringing him, and it's always been like that. If you look in our history, there are some pieces, and I know that people know how to spot them. There are some pieces that we announce one way, and that the result after that is another. Because to give you an example, now it's all case. We can talk the 6701. It's our very slim pieces. The very first one we announced, it was at SHH, and then we put one on my dad's wrist, so he was like going into the SHH with it, and living with it for a few days, and then he realized that there was a detail that he didn't like, and we changed it. We changed it because you always have to be perfect according to obviously my dad's reason vision,
Hmm.
but ultimately to our vision. And that's the no compromise that we have, that I think ultimately makes us so special. And the fact that we really don't look everywhere else to see what's working, what's whatever. We just do what please us, what makes us have butterfly in our heart, like really beating our heart. And there's in the last years so many times. I remember when before I went to the development meeting, because now I can see really from the very very early stage. But so many times I end up looking at pieces that they were showing me on the screen, and it was crappy 3D render, and it moves you like, wow, are you really doing that? I remember the 5301, the Pablo one with a cable, holding the movement. When they show it to me, I have had tears in my eyes, because it's just wow, we're really going there. And I don't know, it's just like always pushing forward, always making sure that ourselves we love the pieces and don't really, it's not that we don't care about the final reception of the piece, but it's just as long we know that we are so sure that as long as we do something we like, ultimately people will end up liking it.
Do you ever see yourself or see the company like opening up like a museum or archive, like similar to like the Patek Philippe Museum? Because so many of these watches are amazing, and I think one, I mean, obviously I've seen tons of them, on video and in images and stuff, but holding them in your hand, feeling them, and I mean, it's a whole other experience that unfortunately no image or video can do it justice because of how good they are.
Definitely.
But that being said, I mean, it'd be amazing to have like almost like a traveling show of all of the watches, just so you can really get it.
So it's not a secret, but like you said, the brand is very, very young. We are 20 years old this year, and at the very beginning of the brand, and at least for the first 10, if not 15 years, every watch sold was a watch sold. And we needed money. We really needed money. People maybe don't really get that, but we needed money to invest a lot into the production. You cannot get anything from anything. So the money we were making were allowing us to develop new pieces and produce more and all of that. And when you're that young, you need the money. So there's a whole period of RM. We don't have the archive. It went directly to clients. We were talking the other day, and we still love to know who has a RM01, for example.
Oh my god!
Because yes, imagine at this stage, my dad and Dominique, so his partner.
Mm-hmm.
At the very beginning, they were developing the RM01 with APRP, and the watch was supposed to become real, to be the very first one. It was supposed to be produced to exit the factory in 2000. In 2000, they realized that there was one little thing that was wrong with that watch, but everybody was telling them, it's
your
okay,
first
you can do
watch.
that. But
Yeah.
my dad and Dom, they put everything into that watch, and from the get go, the motto was to say no compromise. So they're like, sure, we can release that watch, but it won't be exactly what we had in mind. So they decided to push back that launch for a year, which, imagine when you're launching your company to wait a year, and imagine the amount of money that you need to put in making a brand like that. They decided to put, and we were, like my dad always said in that period, we were naked. It was really a leap of faith,
right?
And they did it, and so every watch that we could sell at that time was we needed it. So
Man.
we're still looking for it.
Maybe someday.
But it was only 17 pieces sold for the M01. So finding them, if you listen to us.
Yeah. I was gonna say, yeah, like slide into your guys' DMs and sell back the watch.
Doing a museum on itself, I think it would be not the opposite of what we stand for, but what I agree with you is something that people can put this watch on and really feel what it is. It's funny because yesterday we had a watch of one of our partner that needed to go to the factory, and I had the chance to put it on the wrist. It was the 008, and it's insane. Like you look at those pieces, and even the one the one I can see people wearing today. But when you go that back in the past, and you're seeing that design and thinking that at the time he was seen as so tacky. It was so tacky. The old one, like all the, let's say the old first and watch. Imagine how people were saying, "That's outrageous! How dare you!" Like this type of reaction. And then ultimately, you look at them today. They are marvels. They are so beautiful, and they look so classic, so tame pieces. It's insane. Like 20 years back in the future, you look at that and you're like, oh no, that's very calm pieces, very low key design. It's crazy.
Yeah, I will say that it took me a while to come around to understand the brand because I entered the brand like many other people do through like Rolex and Omega and things that in my mind there were tons of constraints around the design. So it should be a steel case, and you should have the edgy thing would be to have like Breguet numerals, right? There was nothing outside of that. And then when I saw Richard Mille watches for the first time, I was like, this doesn't make any sense. And because I didn't get it, I mean, and this is like with me and clothes and everything else, because I didn't get it, I was like, well, this is just dumb. It doesn't, and over time, I was like, oh my God, like this is not just a wild experiment. Like there's, from the carbon and just the fact and the materials that you guys were doing it's so mind blowing to me that, that's the thing is I hope that every single person listening to this gets the opportunity to at least see one in person or put one on or just because you just can't explain this. And even the most eloquent writer or speaker on earth cannot put into context the outrageous architectural marvels that these little watches are.
I agree with you. It's so funny is that when you're talking with people about the brand, there's a before and an after.
Right.
The first time they put it on their wrist, and even for me, it was the case. It's the case for everyone because you cannot totally compute what's RM without putting it on your wrist. It's crazy that it's like that. It's just why I cannot tell you exactly. I mean, I know that technically there's been a real effort put in the ergonomy of the pieces that you can have a big chunk, like let's say the RM2501, the Adventurer watch that is, it looks huge, but put it on your wrist. Even me, I don't have big wrist. I can tell you, I really don't have big wrist. Even myself, when I put it on my wrist, it's so comfortable, and you don't feel it. So it's the weight, definitely the weight, because with all the material that we are using, start with the titanium from the beginning of the brand, but the carbon now, and obviously that helps. But another aspect that people tend to forget is the curved back of the case back of the watch. The fact that it's curved makes the all difference. The watch can be as big as you want. From the moment it curves, it will sit on your wrist. And I think it's part of the wow effect of the RM. Then, of course, you have the movement, you have the finishing of the movement. Not everybody, now, obviously, it's become more and more normal, but not everybody is used to see the inside of a movement. Like we say, it's like you're looking at the like having your car engine always showing. It's basically that. So yeah, and it's very hard, like you say, to really explain the feeling that you get when you put an arm on your wrist. One of my favorite anecdotes that I had about putting an arm on the wrist of someone, I was in Sierra, so it's the affair in Mexico City, and there was this young kid, probably 10, 11 years old, and he brought his dad to the booth, to the RM booth, and we were talking, very very nice people, and I had on display we had the 5003, which is the McLaren. It's the lightest split second chronograph tourbillon in the world.
Yeah.
And
Crazy
but
watch.
it's thick, but it's carbon, and I went to the kid and I say, "Oh, would you like to try it?" He's like, "Oh, are you sure? Because yeah, it's a $1 million watch, but do you want to try it?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, really? Can I?" I'm like, "Of course." They are meant to be wear,
Mm.
to be worn, to be wear, to be
Yeah, yeah.
this watches. So I go and put give him the watch, but before I say, okay, just be very careful. As you can see, the watch is thick, so it's pretty heavy. So don't be afraid by the weight. And then he put it on his wrist, and should see the expression of his face. It was perfect, perfect. And he was like, wow. And then he was putting it on the wrist, and he was so happy. And that's the type of thing that our watches are made for. We are just doing watches. At the end of the day, it's just watches. And if you can bring this type of emotion to people, and having the bringing the to people the fact that every day they can have this wow moment, I mean, that's the best, honestly. And then I remember after I gave him the big black book that we have. The RM1 with all the photography of the watches, the explanation on why we did all of these watches, because each watch has a reason to be. The kid was crying, and yeah, I don't know,
Oh,
it's just,
that's
and the
cool.
dad was so happy, and it's just all of these things to see that from probably 80 years old guy to a 10 years old, you can still put stars in the eyes of people with watches, and I don't know, it's just the best. You
That's
cannot
great.
complain when your life is about that.
Yeah. No, very true. Um, what are some of the other watch companies and brands that you love? Because I know
Oh,
that,
there's many.
well, I know that when we had hung out, you were interested in a few different brands, and
I truly love RM, obviously.
yeah,
But I really enjoy Swatch, but a very particular model of Swatch. I mean, my first watch that I had, again, we have to come back to my relationship with my dad and the fact
sure,
that I was a pride boy, and I didn't want to ask anything to my dad. If you want a watch and that you have to pay for it yourself,
right,
you start with a Swatch. And there's this watch. I mean, every watch lover know that watch is the system 29 21. Sorry,
mm,
the Swatch. I just love the everything about that watch. Already the whole variety of what they are proposing with that watch is insane. And for me, it's just the total opposite of the spectrum of RM.
yeah,
We are making watches with watchmakers, and it takes I'm not saying that the system 51 sorry,
yeah, yeah,
system 51 doesn't there's no development behind it. Don't get me wrong, but it's everything made by a robot. The system
yeah. It's made
51,
for the
it's
mass.
it's
Yeah,
like the total opposite, and still it's so cool, because what I love the most about watches is when they I can feel that they are alive. That's why I'm very frustrated when a watch has a dial. I mean, that's obviously because I've been perverted by RM, but I love the term perverted for that. But because yeah, there's that. There's the fact that, oh, you dare to take the die off, and showing everything.
yeah.
So yeah, the fact that you can see that the watch is alive, the heart is beating of the watch, and the rotor is turning, and you can feel it. And yeah, it's noisy because the system 51, I mean, with the 27, the Rafael Nadal one is pretty noisy too. But you can feel the rotor moving when you're moving your wrist. You can feel
Yeah.
it like basically taking your arm off. And I don't know, I just love that. And I don't, it's just, yeah, it's on the opposite of the spectrum, but I still have probably 25 version of the system 51.
Oh,
It's
damn.
just, I just love it. It's so cool. It's so cool. Obviously I love AP.
Yep.
There's many of their reference that still make me dream today. One day when I will have money, I would probably buy one because it's funny. My dad always told us because everybody is always asking why are we not wearing watches, the children's, and my dad always told us if you want one yours, you want an AM, you need to pay for it. So I can tell you, I'm about to pay one. So yeah,
Dang.
so probably before I will have an AP, but yeah, I love AP. There's a lot of brand. It comes first from the design. It's like we talk with my dad. We always talk about cars because obviously he loves cars.
Oh
It's
yeah.
first passion,
Yeah.
and uh, I don't necessarily understand the mechanic of cars the way I understand the watch mechanic because watches. I mean, that's my job. I've been immersed into that, while cars never been. So cars, I really enjoy the aesthetic aspect of the cars,
Yeah.
and for the watches, some of them, obviously, the if I take the pure technical aspect of it, I'm not very into that that movement, that type of watchmaking. But the design, it's so cool. So there, I have a list of watches that I will definitely buy one day.
Yeah. I mean, there's, I remember years ago, I got the opportunity to buy a Royal Oak, and this is before, what it is
The
now.
old craziness.
I think I had a good amount of the money set aside, and it obviously wasn't what it costs now. And I was like, nah. I was like, I'm probably going to lose the money. I probably shouldn't really get it. I don't think my heart's in it. I'm not really sure if I want this. And obviously I was, I had just been newly married, and my wife did, and I don't blame her. It's just like, it's a lot to
I
throw
hope
off.
not. I hope not.
But yeah, no, I had this opportunity to get this AP, and I really regret that I never did it. But maybe someday. So these are a few questions not related to watch stuff, more related to you. What is a film or an album that when someone likes, you feel that they understand you?
Wow. Okay. Oh, there's so many. Yeah. A movie will definitely be Miami Vice
Oh, Miami
because
Vice. Okay.
because it's yeah. I think the whole Alex character is pretty much defined into that. Uh, but album, wow, it's so many. There's wow. That's a very, very, very good question. I was definitely not expecting that.
Sorry.
But yeah, for a movie, if I have to a movie will definitely be Miami Vice because there's everything I love about in this movie. There's Colin Farrell,
Hmm.
there's Michael Mann, and no, it's just it's there's some type of moment in that movie that you have people with a duty. They have to do what they have to do, but they can, there's this moment in the movie that they are talking with one of their insider that is giving them intel about the cartel. And it's very intense conversation with the whole team surrounding the guy in his apartment. And suddenly you have the sound lowering,
Mm.
and you see Colin Farrell really not listening to the conversation anymore and looking at the horizon, and you have a shot of the horizon, a shot like only Michael Mann really knows how to do it with that, very little shaky cam, but
Mm.
very subtle. Like really, you are into a Colin Farrell perspective, and then you have a little music coming, and it's just like in the middle of a scene when they are like cooking the guy, making him say every intel he can have, and you have like this little moment of poetry in the middle of the chaos and the preparation. Yeah, I don't know, and the music in the movie is also excellent.
Oh yeah.
Uh, Coming back to the music, I still have no idea. Um, I think honestly, it will be a playlist. It will definitely be a playlist. There will be everything in it. I'm the only person that can really listen to one of my playlists. There's probably one other person in the world that is able to listen to one of my playlists because it goes from one thing to the total opposite. I remember one day making one for my ex-girlfriend, and I was very happy because it was a gift. So I was very conscious, like making a mixtape and like choosing the song that I love and things like that. One day for her birthday, I gave her access to the sent her the playlist. She hated it. She said, "How can you listen? It's just you go from one genre to the other. It's just I don't understand." And
You're like, all right.
I think I'm the only person in the world. Yeah, yeah, yeah. How? Oh, maybe. Yeah, maybe some Frank Ocean. Maybe I would say blonde.
Oh.
I would say blonde more than
Frank
Channel
Ocean,
Orange.
also RM customer.
He is. He is. He is. Which was insane. The way it happened, it was just like a. But yeah, Frank Ocean most probably. Honestly, it's too difficult of a question to. I cannot resume myself with just one album. It would be impossible. I'm so. How you say diverse? Not that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, diverse. I won't be able. I won't be able.
What is a piece or article of clothing you find yourself wearing the most?
Definitely. It's funny. Right before I jumped into the conversation with you, I was talking with a client who has a clothing brand, and he was telling me, Alex, you still wear like and he posed casual clothes, right? Like basically, you're still wearing trash, right? Yeah, I guess a hoodie would definitely be. In LA, it's funny
Hoodie?
because
Yeah.
I was known as the hoodie guy. I was always wearing a hoodie because until the end, I
Nothing
didn't
wrong
get
with that.
used to the AC. It's insane. I cannot understand that. Basically, you're outside. It's like sorry, I will talk in Celsius. It's like 32 degrees, and you go inside, it's a freezer. I Until the end, it's still a mystery for me.
What's your favorite hoodie?
Good question. I would say it really changed with my mood, with the weather. One that I really like, one right now. It's very random. It's from a collab between Travis Scott, so Cactus Jack, and
Hmm.
ID. It's like a very black hoodie, but I love the fabric. And I don't know how exactly they did in French we say flocage. I don't know how you say, but the
Yeah, yeah.
writing on it, it really stays
The
well.
applique, the
And
screen print. Yeah.
normally these things after two washing, they just die. And here they one brand that I'm always I mean, at the beginning, I don't know if it's still the case now, but Supreme, I have some Supreme hoodie from way, 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 way back,
Oh.
and
Then those might be CYC.
yeah, maybe I don't know, yeah,
Yeah.
and it's still perfect. Like I have a red one, like the reddest red ever, and after it's probably 6 years ago. No, maybe
Mm.
five years ago, something like that. Because it was when they opened their shop in Paris, and it's still the perfect red. I'm so impressed. I'm so impressed, and it's
Oh,
not like
wow.
going everywhere, and I'm very impressed.
Dang. So this is the last question, and it's very ambiguous purposely. Um, what are you looking forward to the most?
I mean, honestly, there's a lot of things I'm looking forward to. Um, the most it's gonna be so cheesy.
You're fine.
Really, the most important thing for me is my family, and I
Hmm.
truly, genuinely hope that we will stay the way we are and loving each other the way we are. And I think it's really our strength. And the other thing is obviously the more how you say that opened Mille family. Everybody
Hmm.
close to the brand. I really hope everybody will be okay, and that we will be everything will be fine, that we'll be happy, and that it will keep everything this way. And trust me, every day we are doing everything to keep it this way. It's really the best feeling in the world that I know about how is it right now out there in the world, and even in general, even before COVID, even before everything, how life could be in a company, how sad people can be, and if really the number one goal of us could be to bring happiness toward us. I told you it's very cheesy. I have the feeling I'm like a Miss
No,
France.
it's
How you
fine.
call that? Miss Universe or something like that.
Romantic.
Making my
Oh,
speech. But really, because I know that if that brand has one power, it's really put a damn smile on people's face. So yeah, continue to do that.
hmm.
I'm really looking forward for more smile on people's face, because I know that what's coming, it's exactly that. And yeah, I know it's very cheesy and corporate answer, but understand that my life, I'm a very cheesy person, and my life is pretty much turned toward the brand. So obviously, I would give a corporate answer.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Yeah, cool. Well, Alex, thank you so much.
Thank you
Um,
so much, Jeremy. As always, so nice, so nice to talk with you.
Thanks so much for listening. Stay tuned for part 2. Yes, there's a whole other hour that's coming up of just Alex and I going at it, nitty gritty about clothes, you name it. It's all on there. It's coming up later this week on Patreon. Thanks so much for listening. Our show is produced by Blamo Media. We're edited by Amar Lal. Our theme music, as always, is by the mysterious Breakmaster Cylinder. If you like what you heard, you know the drill. Share the pod with a friend. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Do all the deals. Follow us on Instagram for all the hot content. And if you want to talk to us or give us your hot take, we'd love to hear from you. You can call us at 917-267-2495. No one will answer, but leave us a message and we'll put it in a future episode. Or email us at info@blamopod.com. All right, if you want to hang and join the Blam fam, visit patreon.com/Blamo, where we have tons of exclusive episodes in our amazing Slack community. All right, that's it from me. See you all soon.